Take me back to Janky Town. I wanna get back to Janky Town.
So did you go to college or after high school?
No. I went to one semester at Potsdam where I fully flunked out.
Wow, really? I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, I never went to college.
Amazing.
It seems like I did, right?
Yeah, no.
That's why I wear these kind of
the coats
jackets
and the glasses.
No, at that time in my life, I wasn't really motivated. I didn't have any sort of work ethic, so it just didn't go over well. I wanted to be in that environment with the people and all that stuff, but it just didn't work out like that.
Were you, so would you say you had no ambition, or were you just like kind of floating?
I had tons of ambition with no
direction.
No direction and poor motivation, I would say.
Yeah. Because
of, a lot of times the amount of pot I was smoking.
Yep.
That's what I would blame that on. Because since I stopped full time, I have a good amount of motivation because I was just stoned all day long.
Yep.
Pretty much every day. That was my motivation, was to
from
get
like
popped.
A young age. That was my motivation. You were very good at that.
Yeah, I was great at that. Getting to that point.
I always thought it was so funny. Like I came into
let's get this pizza going.
Pot later in life, but
yeah.
I always like mocked and rude people for like potheads that would wait till the last second before getting pot. I was like, how, like, if you love pot so much, and this is a perfect sober person's view of this.
Yeah.
If you love pot so much, why are you scrambling to get pot at like and doing anything you can, basically acting like an addict, like calling up everybody, driving to Syracuse, doing whatever, going to see some sketchy person to get pot, like when you know from like, you know how much you smoke, and a month from now you're going to be running out of pot, and you see this coming, and then when you're a week away, you start scraping out the keef out of your grinder, and then when you're 2 days away, you start like, so you have this whole downhill slope that you're watching yourself go through. It's like, why don't you take this?
Because you're stoned, right?
Once you become a stoner, you're like, oh, like shit, like we're almost out of pot.
Damn.
Like maybe we can scrape all the roaches together and
Dude. I did a lot of that kind of nasty behavior.
It's so funny when you're like, you see it so clearly.
Then when you're someone like me, okay, well, I gotta buy a ton, so I always have a ton. Then I see the big bag with a ton.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, I can just smoke a ton.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm.
Ugh.
What brand is this?
This is a Price Chopper.
This is a Pix special.
Yeah, Price Chopper, a.k.a. Price Plopper.
Price Plopper.
A.k.a. Plop Chopper. The last one my brother came up with. Shout out to Janky. That was a really good innovation.
That's great.
Plop
Is
Chopper.
that because the prices are plopping? They're falling?
I never realized how actually based in logic that nickname was.
Yeah, they're plopping down. What is to plop but
to drop?
To chop or drop.
You chop the plop and it drops.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta chop the plop.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, at Applebee's one time, my manager D had to go into the woman's bathroom. Doesn't matter, it's a man or woman's bathroom, but
with a poop knife.
With a butter knife.
No, not an Applebee's butter knife.
Chop it a plop.
I hope she threw that knife out. And didn't throw it back into the dish pit.
Those industrial dishwashers are
the shit pit.
I bet it did get probably reintroduced back into the population.
It's not good.
So you had to cut it up so it would go down. And
this is why Applebee's gets a bad rap, because of this kind of behavior.
Wait, whose behavior? The plop dropper?
I'm just joking.
Or the plop chopper?
The plop cutter put the knife back in.
Oh.
But we don't know what happened, so I'm just...
No,
so
but
funny.
It
does get washed. It gets cleaned. It's fine.
Yeah, and those industrial dishwashers are there. I spent quite a bit of time in the dish pit too. Speaking of lifer dishwashers, now there's a life.